I'm so excited for this video because I'm gonna talk about journaling, my favorite thing ever. I used to always have only one main journal where I would write down everything, but now for this year I decided to have a different system, and I now have a lot of different journals for different purposes, and so I'm gonna talk about how I'm gonna use each of those journals in 2025 because I'm very excited, and honestly I just love journaling. I have here my coffee in my mug, and I think we're gonna start with this here. This journal here is my literature and cinema journal where I write down all my reviews for movies I watched this year and books I read, because I do have story graph where I track my reading. I do have everything on my iPad too, but I just love writing down everything physically so I can look back on it later and see what movies I watched and books I read in 2025. So I first did a little page of like my favorite movies, just a few, and then on the other side I made the same thing with books, and then I started, and so far I have one page filled, and I have been so lucky with what I read and watched this year so far. Like, I gave everything 4 and 5 stars, which never happens because I'm kind of picky with my books and my movies. I watched Edward Scissorhands yesterday and it was so good. I think this is my new favorite comfort movie. Like, Edward Scissorhands is such a good movie. This is my second most recent addition to my journal collection, and I'm very excited for this. And yeah, I also finished reading Just Kids by Patti Smith yesterday. Such a good book, honestly. And I don't know why I haven't started reading Patti Smith earlier, because she is so good and I'm so excited to read more of her works. Anyway, let's move on to the next journal. So the next one is my sketchbook. I decorated this a few days ago. It's so much more fun to use journals when you like how their cover looks. And this one is actually very small, so I don't know if I would buy such a small sketchbook again, because it is kind of not very practical. Sometimes I just make really quick sketches, and sometimes I also do sketches with fine liner and then fill them out with color pencils, and it's so fun. I love to just make quick little sketches because there's just no pressure and it's just a sketchbook, so you can just be free. And I love sketching little animals, especially. Recently I have been drawing animals again because I love to do that when I was younger. And something that goes hand in hand with this is obviously my watercolor block. It's not really a journal, but I'm just gonna talk about this too because it's very important. And I have been doing some more nature and botanical painting, and I actually took a class on Skillshare for botanical painting, which is so fun. And Skillshare is also very kindly sponsoring this video, and I'm so excited to tell you about Skillshare because Skillshare is the largest online learning community, and you can take a class for any of those journals. Like, if you want to take a class for starting a sketchbook and you need like ideas, you can take a class on Skillshare. Or if you need some inspiration and guidance for starting a diary, you can take a class. There's such a big variety of classes you can take on Skillshare. Skillshare is by creatives for creatives, and there are so many experts that are so excited to literally share their skill with you, and I think Skillshare is just amazing. And especially this year I really want to dedicate more time and energy to my creativity, and I think creativity is kind of like a muscle, and when you start creating a habit and prioritize getting better at your craft, you will get better. And so I'm really excited to take classes on Skillshare this year. So if you are interested, the first 500 people to use my link in the description get a 1-month free trial on Skillshare. and you can get started today. And then my next journal that I use is my main journal, which is kind of like a diary, but I also sometimes do like scrapbook pages where I glue stuff in or I make little doodles. This is my most personal journal, I would say, because I write down struggles and my emotions and my thoughts. I write down everything in here, and I sometimes get questions from people what I write about. I honestly just write stream of consciousness. Everything that just is on my mind right now, I write down. And I also don't really have like a writing routine because writing comes so naturally to me, and it's literally my coping mechanism. When I need it, I just reach for my journal because it really puts things into perspective for me, and it helps me look at issues that I have like from a healthier and more rational perspective. And I just really love to write about anything. Sometimes I write like 3 times a day, and sometimes I only write twice a week. So yeah. I also really like to just make lists in here of anything, like writing down my favorite breakfasts to have in the moment, or a TBR list, or whatever. I just write down anything in here that's currently on my mind, and I would say it still is my favorite. Then next, my most recent addition is my Commonplace book. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how this is gonna work for me because I'm very new to this, but I'm so excited. This is basically where I write down everything new that I learned and want to remember. For example, when I learn a new fact about a painting that I love, I will write it down so I don't forget it. And I made a little index in the beginning, and then I recently started and I wrote down some things about complementary colors and Roman numbers because I always forget them. And then I wrote down some stuff about the painting Birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli because I'm gonna see it in March. And then I wrote down some quotes of a non-fiction book. This kind of acts as my second brain where I just store data that I don't want to forget. Then next is my little planner. I decorated it with some angels, and this is actually a very small planner, but I really do like small planners because I don't really write to-do lists in planners. I really just write down events and really concrete dates. So here are like the days, and on here I mostly just write a to-do list for the week, like the most important things. And then when I have a to-do list for a day, then I just put a sticky note on here and write down my to-do list for the day on here. So that's how I keep it organized, because I just really like having a small planner that I can take everywhere, because my shoulders are sensitive and I cannot carry a heavy planner around. So that's my planner, and those are actually all my journals, and I'm just very happy with this system because it's much more organized. Because when I used to have only one journal, it was getting so cluttered, and I really didn't like how I couldn't find lists that I made, and I found myself putting a lot of sticky notes in my journal, and it's just not ideal. And I also went through journals so quickly. The only reason why I just wanted to only have one journal is because it makes a journal very valuable if you have everything stored in one journal from a period of your life, and I think that's very nice. But at the same time, I just really needed some organization. I just didn't like how cluttered it got. And yeah, so I'm now gonna try this system with a lot of different journals, and I'm gonna see how I like it this year. I kind of rarely post journaling content on YouTube, but if you have any requests or wishes for journaling videos, just write a comment. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you very shortly.